There's obviously been more attention around hoarding and hoarding disorder over the last few years, and I think it's really natural at times to wonder if maybe yourself, if you have some tendencies, or someone else in your life, if you've had concerns about them. It's hard to sometimes wrap our brain around what is it that causes this desire to collect things and to keep things, and how would you approach someone if you had concerns for them. And so today I'm really excited to visit with Melanie from A Hoarder's Heart. She's going to shed some light on hoarding and help us to know what we can do for ourselves or our loved ones if we have concerns about this.
Well, Melanie, why don't you tell us, just to start off, when did you first think that you might have hoarding disorder, or what were kind of the signs?
So I showed signs of hoarding disorder since a child, but I didn't get a diagnosis until about like 25.
Okay.
That's when I officially had the diagnosis of like just not being able to discard stuff and just holding on to everything. And the moment you were going to let something go, I would have like a panic attack. I'd be like, please don't let that go. I really, really need, this book for whatever reason, even though it might have been like high school history book that I don't need.
Yeah.
But I was like, please don't let that go. I have the memories of being in high school. But it was like for everything.
Okay. And so where's the line between, I think many of us would relate and say like, yeah, I'm really resourceful. My brain's always kind of thinking of other ways to use stuff or fix stuff, to really not being able to part with things.
So I would say, hoarding is like a spectrum. There's a spectrum of hoarding, like a level 1 hoarder and then like a level 5 hoarder. Where a level 1 hoarder, you have your clutter, you have a lot of stuff, your home is still functioning. You still want to hold on to most of the things. You'll struggle with letting go of, but you can.
Okay.
Where the level 5s, they are going to be on the show hoarders, right? Mm-hmm. You can't walk in their house. You can't go out any of the doors. They have unusable bathrooms. You see the goat trails where it's like a little trail to like their bed or where they normally sit. So there's a broad spectrum as far as where you fall in hoarding. Now, I would say defining hoarding, like whether you're resourceful, but can you let it go and be like, I'm not going to work on this project now. I can give this away. And when I do work on this project, I'll just ask my neighbor for if she has one, I'll just save one or two.
Okay.
It's the letting go of it. Do you feel like, no, I have to hold on to it, or I can just let it go now and we'll do the project later?
And so what was going on when you look back to when you were 25 and earlier on? What was going on in your life? What were you experiencing that caused you to seek out getting a diagnosis?
Oh, because I was in an apartment and I was in college, and I realized very quickly that my habits and tendencies of behaviors of holding on to everything was not what everybody else was doing. Like all the other girls could clean their rooms and have neat spaces, and my half of the room was like stacked all the way up and just a mess, and clothes and this everywhere. And back then I had more of a shopping addiction too, so I was shopping and bringing stuff home, and it just piled up. Where sure, other girls were shopping in college too, but they knew how to take it out of the bag and hang it up and curate it and have what they liked, where I did not have that organization. So I knew that, okay, there's something wrong, not something wrong, but I was like, this isn't normal.
And so now, I mean, you've learned so much about hoarding disorder and everything. Are you able to look back on something in your life that might have triggered it or lent itself to this?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
There's very significant things that triggered my behaviors and really like put that hoarding disorder into like, okay, this is how we survive in life. So I'll start back even when I was a kid. I had shown signs then because I had a collection of a collection of a collection of a collection. Like I wanted to save gum wrappers, right? Like and have that be my collection. Not just like My Little Ponies or Care Bears. It was everything. It was all the packaging that came with the stuff.
Wow.
The first time that it triggered was when we moved, and we moved between 5th and 6th grade. So I was the new girl in a new school, and middle school is rough. And I was more shy. I was more shy and sweet, and they really bullied me badly. Like they were just really mean to me. Yeah. So what I did was I didn't have the personality to verbalize, to be like, you're mean, I don't care what you say. It was just like, okay, I guess I'm all those nasty things. And then I would come home, and I didn't tell my parents, and I wish I did, but I didn't. But I would come home, escape to my bedroom with all my things. All of my drawings, all of my plushies, all of the things that made me so happy. It was my escape from that torment, and I felt safe. So that was really what built the foundation of I am safe with my stuff in my room and all my happy things around me. When it turned into survival, because high school was okay. I got through middle school. That's how I dealt with it. High school, I kind of blossomed. A lot of schools merged in. I felt more like myself, and I did fine. However, when I was 17, I got into a relationship that became abusive. So to deal with the trauma, I went back to what I knew. And what I knew was when he was at work or away, go home to my room, be with all of my stuff, and wear the pretty bracelets to be like, see, I feel pretty in this bracelet. But it was almost like the bracelet, the shirt, all these things was what I needed to validate who I was as someone, as my self-worth, right? I was validating that if I had this bracelet to make me feel pretty, then I am pretty. So that's where it became survival, to kind of like comfort myself during that trauma. So, and that's also where my shopping addiction kind of started, because of course, because I felt so pretty and I was older and I had a job and I could drive. Now I'm going to buy all the clothes and all the things to remind myself that I'm pretty, but I only felt pretty around my things, not me, myself. And I had to, God definitely had to open my eyes to be like, no, like, you know, you're so much more beautiful inside, you know, but that's how I just coped with it.
Sure. So it was a coping tool.
It was a coping mechanism.
And during this time then, did your parents have concerns? Did friends or other family members have concerns of what you were doing?
I felt like they did, but they think they chalked it up in the sense that, so I'm very creative, artistic, and I think they just chalked it up as that's her personality.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, she's just a little messy. She just has some things. Back then with my parents, it was just my bedroom. So it was just a messy teenage bedroom. It wasn't, you couldn't see the hoard until the apartment came. Because then it's like, okay, all of the living, you know, the bathrooms, the kitchen, the every space now is hoarded and blocked. It's not a messy kid. It's not a messy kid's room. And
so what does it look like to actually be diagnosed with hoarding disorder? What did that process look like to become diagnosed?
So I just went to, I think it was, I'm trying to remember, it was a family doctor, right? And I said, you know, I really struggle with my anxiety. And I said, it was, you know, all of my stuff. And I said, I have rooms that I can't walk through, but I'm too anxious to let it go. And he was like, well, I think you need to, you know, go to a therapist, you know, somebody licensed and stuff, and give you a diagnosis. Because he was like, if you're telling me you have a hard time letting go and stuff, and you have blocked entryways, he was like, you are definitely a candidate for hoarding disorder. So it was a psychiatrist, and after saying everything and stuff, they were like, you are ADHD, you do have anxiety, and you do have hoarding disorder because of how I am unable to let go of simple items, things that I should be, like the ripped shirt from, like, you know, 10 years ago, it should be something I can recycle. It shouldn't be something that I feel like I need to hold on to when I have 100 other shirts.
Yeah.
And
I've been so grateful for your YouTube channel, Melanie, because for those of us who don't suffer from this, it's very hard to understand, right? It can be very difficult to understand. And in one of your videos, you said, I think you were in your basement, and you said for many of you, you would say all of this stuff makes you feel anxious. But for me, the stuff gives me comfort. Like, this gives me comfort. Not having it, the thought of not having it makes me feel anxious. And I was so grateful for that perspective, because sometimes it's very black and white to many of us, right? We're like, well, stuff, you know, causes stress, so why not just get rid of it? If you're feeling anxious, get rid of your stuff, right? And it's not that simple, right? It's like really not that simple. How did you even get started then? I have to imagine, like you said, this feels incredibly overwhelming. And so where did you start?
So of course, with the hoarding disorder, the place was packed, right? And all I could think is, where am I going to start? Because it's so overwhelming. And I already know I'm going to deal with all these emotions. So if I do like the big room, forget it, it's not going to be successful. So what I had to do was start with like the smallest thing, like a junk drawer, something that I could mentally handle and pull out. And I didn't have to clean everything out. I just had to find one or two things that I felt strong enough to declutter.
Wow.
And then that was a victory, because I was like, okay, I found two things. I did a good job. I can let this go. I don't have to declutter the whole house in one day.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel like you do. And I don't know why we put that pressure on ourselves.
Yeah. That's awesome. Wow. And I think, Melanie, I think this is so good for those who are watching, who are feeling defeated. I know many, you start the new year and you're like, I'm going to get my house decluttered and I have all these big goals and I owe it to my family and I owe it to myself. And now here we are, we're through January and we're looking around and we're like, I still haven't done it. And so I love this perspective, because no matter where you're at right now, it's the little bit every single day. And it's not always so glamorous, but I mean, you've come so far now. I mean, how far have you come with decluttering your home now?
Oh gosh, I've decluttered thousands upon thousands of things out of this house. And there's still some things in here. I'm not going to lie. But it's been a lifetime of hoarding. So if my first life, my first half of my life, I've been hoarding, why do I think that I can dump it all in like a month? Like, it just doesn't seem feasible. I've been saving for my whole life, and just like taking those next baby steps to accomplishing, so that at Christmas 2022, we can look back and be like, wow, we did it. And that's why I like to post that video at the end of the year, because all those little decluttering steps, all of a sudden you got a perfectly clean room. Yeah. And then you have like, you can see like all your hard work. It's like, see, I got it done. We did a little slower pace.
And so what would you say to someone if I suspect maybe I have a loved one and I might suspect that they might be on the spectrum of having a hoarding disorder? What do I do, or what do I say, or do I not say? What would you recommend? Obviously, we're talking in big general terms here, where this is not meant to diagnose or anything, but I really appreciate your insights on this topic.
If you see someone that perhaps is on the spectrum, to approach them as a loved one, let's say coming to me, and let's say they came to me 8 years ago when I didn't want to hear it, right? Like my husband saying like, we got to change. And it would kind of be like, I would get defensive. I would be like, no, I like it, I need it. But I got so defensive because I didn't know how to put the words to the emotions, because I felt anxiety. I felt 50% of people with hoarding disorder also have depression. So they would feel really depressed. Like, I know I'm a failure. I know I can't do it. I know I can't claim it. So you're having this wave of negativity just run through your body. So that's why when you approach somebody, they're going to kind of push you back, because they don't want to deal with those emotions, right? Yeah. But looking at it now, being that person, try to listen for the signs when they're ready to change of the, gosh, I'm just so tired of this mess. Because I was saying that like right before I started. I was like, I don't want to live like this anymore. I'm tired, but I don't know how to start. I don't know how to process these emotions. Listen to that. Okay. Listen to the frustration in the mess, and then be coming with a very open mind in the sense of, oh, are you frustrated? How can I help you? You know, I'm here to help you. Just offering that comfort and love and acceptance. I think acceptance is probably the most important thing, because in our mind, we're already on the defense because we feel like society is going to shun us for being disgusting and lazy and dirty and all these awful things. So we're not going to share it with you because we're too afraid of being so judged so harshly. Yeah. So if you come with an open mind and be like, hey, like, I understand it is frustrating to have a lot of stuff. I get it, but we can get through it. How can I help you? You know, like, how can we get started together? We can do this together. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so good. And so what has been, as you've been decluttering over the last few years, what has been the hardest types of things for you to part with?
Ooh, baby stuff. The baby stuff is very hard because that's tied with miscarriages.
Mm.
So not to bring it down, and I know this is all in God's plan, but I prayed for a third child. We tried many, many times. I just can't carry them. So letting go of anything that is a baby item, that will trigger a panic attack. So I just keep my baby items,
Yeah.
right, organized, and we just focus on the other things that I can let go of.
Yeah.
And I noticed that over time, like let's just say in 2019, there was things that I had a stronghold on that I'm like, nope, not getting rid of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2021, I was like, I can let it go.
Wow.
I can finally let this go. Like there was no emotional attachment. I could actually look at it logically,
Yeah.
where I've never been able to look at anything logically to let it go. It's always been emotional.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like in the future, those baby clothes will be blessing another baby too.
Yeah.
I just have to feel the emotions. I think
Sure.
it's just processing the emotions and getting through it.
Yeah. And so have you felt like as you've decluttered, I mean, we talk about like building up your decluttering muscles. Has it been a similar process for you where you gain confidence in yourself that you're, okay, I haven't missed the stuff that I've gotten rid of?
Yes. I think that is key. That is one of the most key components that I've realized in this journey of my recovery, was that because every week I was letting go of something, and every week I was getting positive reinforcement from it. So now decluttering wasn't this negative thing where it's like, I'm going to have a panic attack and I can't live and I can't get through my day. All of a sudden I'm seeing everyone saying, great job, we're so proud of you. And it's like, okay, I like that feeling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like everyone's saying like, you know, I'm going to declutter too. And then me being like, yeah, you can do it. So decluttering now got switched to this positive experience where in my past, before I started this journey, it was a negative experience to let something go because I was going to start hyperventilating. I wasn't going to be able to sleep. I was going to, if somebody threw it out, I was legit going to run out to that trash and go grab it so that I could function throughout my day. So it was almost that rewiring of my brain that took time, but rewiring it to be a positive experience and not that negative one.
Yeah. That is so good. And have there been any other resources for you along the way that have been like books or YouTube channels that have helped you to understand your disorder more or to help you to be able to declutter successfully?
I was a part of this hoarding task thing that was like amazing in my, it was a couple counties away, but every state has them. And I went to a couple of them because you had like therapists and stuff, and they were really awesome. And then when COVID hit, they didn't have any more of the meetings and stuff. And I was like, no. I was like, no, because that was such a wealth of knowledge. Now, I love watching like the minimalist kind of like YouTube channels. I watch a lot of that because I feel like the more I'm watching it, the more I'm programming in my mind that it's safe. It's good. You know what I mean? This is the direction that we want to go.
Yeah.
As far as like the actual medical professional thing, I do have a girlfriend, my best friend, who is in that field pretty high up. So I do get to talk to some of their therapists and professionals. But I really, this year especially, I want to find that professional one-on-one and just really work together.
Yeah.
And just working through that.
Mm-hmm. Is it, so I mean, has it been kind of difficult to find the resources for support that you need?
Yeah. And that's another thing that I would like in the future too, is that I would like hoarding support groups, kind of like AA, have support groups and meet every week to keep that accountability and to be like for us, right? Let's just say I have a hair tie right here, right? I will cheer that person on if they let go of this hair tie if they're like, let's say a level 3 or 4 hoarding.
Yeah.
Because I know to let go of this, it could have taken like 10 mental battles to get to that point. And I want there to be this safe space, like a support group, to be like, dude, you did that. That is amazing. I'm so proud that you let that go.
Yeah.
Because I want them to be surrounded by people who understand that emotion, and that there are so many of us.
Yeah.
There are so many of us because we hide it, right?
Yes. Right.
Nobody knew I was a hoarder other than my immediate family.
Okay.
When I first became public, and I'm very much a public figure like in my town, when they found out I had hoarding disorder, they were like, I had no clue.
Sure.
I had no clue you struggled with that.
Yeah.
And then a couple of them joked. It was like, no wonder you always had stuff at your house when we needed something.
Well, Well, Melanie, so fun to get to visit with you today. And thank you again just for everything you're doing and how you're helping so many others now. I just appreciate how you've become an advocate for others. And just like I said, helping to bring understanding and awareness because I think a lot of us, if we have experienced someone with it in our life, we don't know what to do or to say. And so I think this is so helpful to know you have to be patient with them. You have to come in with like a really
Yes.
helpful heart and to better understand what is going on a little bit inside of their world. So I think this is so helpful. So you have been, I mean, one of my biggest cheerleaders for a very long time. I always see your
Yes, I
comments and your
love your show.
encouragement. And so I have been so grateful for you and your support along the way too. And so we'll definitely put links to your YouTube channel and your other social accounts. But thank you so much for hanging out with us
Oh my
today.
gosh. Thank you so much because honestly, when I started this journey, it was you and the minimalist. But I would watch your YouTube channels before I started mine. I was like, I can do this. See, I can do this. And you really motivated my heart and my spirit to be like, let's just start this. I can do that. And you showed me ways of how to do it too, how to be
That's so
organized
cool.
and clean.
It's awesome to hear. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.